Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelly, and I am back with a Start Before You're Ready episode that I think is going to give you great value. I've got a lot to share, and I'm going to work on my pausing because one of the things that I have noticed in listening to some of my solo episodes is that I talk really fast, and sometimes it sounds like I'm going to pass out. So with that said, we are going to have a very powerful conversation, and I'm so glad that you're here for it. I want to say thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for sharing episodes that you think will resonate with other people. Thank you for following the podcast. That is actually the best thing you can do to support the podcast is follow it and subscribe so you get the new episodes to whatever platform that you're listening to. They automatically come to you. That's incredibly helpful. And sharing it is also great. And even if you just share a post, so even if you just retweet a post, so what that means, retweet on Insta, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, so reshare. But there's a square on Instagram, and I'm not sure that everybody has it, but it's a share that if you post that share, it doesn't show up on your feed. It doesn't look like something you want on your feed, but your audience can see it. So it's huge. It's a really great way to grow. And if you didn't know, I'm not afraid to say I am looking to grow this podcast. I love doing the podcast. I do invest every month in having somebody help me get it out into the world. And it would be great to have a larger audience because then I could justify what we do. Now, I will say recently, I felt really great about having the podcast as a resource for our community. So when someone comes to me with a specific issue or I want to talk more to them about it, I can send them a link to a podcast and be like, listen to this. And AI has been incredible for this, guys. I just want to tell you, like the other day, somebody asked me we were talking about getting set up virtually. And I asked AI with the Start Before You're Ready podcast, what podcast would you recommend for someone that is trying to get set up virtually? And it gave me the episode number. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do this more often. The other thing that I didn't know, and this might not be for everybody, but when I was in the kitchen one day, I said, Alexa, play Start Before You're Ready, episode 81, because I wanted to listen to the podcast with Scott. And it started playing it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so easy. So whatever your source is for podcasts, just know that there's great ways to search. And you could do that with any podcast, right? So if you're looking for a certain topic or you like a certain speaker or you just want more information from a certain source, that is a great thing. That is really great to have that ability to search. Okay, so today's episode is a lot about goals. That's what we're going to start with, but we're going to talk about some other things that I consider to be really important. And it's the thing about goals that you'll hear me say over and over again is the goal has to matter. So you've all heard maybe you have SMART goals, and I love that. I think that means a lot, but the strongest goals, they're not just specific and measurable. They're meaningful. You believe them to be truly important. You're not just pulling it out of the air. And see, I just did the breathing thing. So that's an opportunity for me to pause. I need to work on that. We're all trying to get better. I'm not afraid to say I am a work in progress with everything. And one of the gifts of this podcast is it has helped me tremendously with speaking. I've gone back and listened to some videos that I've done. Something popped up on the community page from like 10 years ago. And I was really surprised by how far I've come in my speaking. So I don't want to be too negative to myself, but that is one thing that I need to work on. It's something I've done since I was a little kid, this breathing thing. It doesn't happen to me when I'm teaching fitness. Interesting, because I think it's because I'm out of breath. but they have to matter to you enough that you believe that they move the needle in your life. But you also need some wiggle room. The biggest thing about goals, the biggest thing, most important, number one, I don't care who you are. I don't care how great you are. You need accountability. You need somebody to report to. And maybe it's an app on your phone. Maybe that's enough for you. I don't know. It's not for me. I'm going to tell you right now, I need a human being that actually cares to be accountable to. But I think that's the biggest thing, because the worst thing is to say you're going to do something, start it, and then just quit. That's just such negative energy. We do not want that energy. So saying you're going to do less is actually better. Saying you're going to do less and doing it and seeing it through until the end is actually better. So one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this today, and I hope these girls don't mind that I'm using them as my example, but I am doing a challenge, and I put it out to the community if anybody wanted to join, but it started with one of my boot campers. She's actually moving this summer, and I'm really sad about it. And she said she had a very busy season with work, and she said to me, Kelly, I wish we had a challenge like when her busy season was over. She's like, I wish we had a challenge. Let's just meet or talk, and maybe we can come up with some kind of challenge. Well, what I have learned, if one person wants something, there's other people that might want it too. And she was very self-sufficient with this, and she came up with 4 goals for herself. She's like, these are the 4 things that I want to be accountable to. So like we do a lot of times at KBC, or I like to do a lot of times, is I said, okay, I'll see if we can get some other girls her age, because she's in her 20s, and I thought it would be more meaningful if she was doing it with people that were within the same age, to do this challenge with you, and you guys can all support each other, and we can create a little group. Well, that's exactly what we did, and it is going well. They haven't even filled out their first Google form yet, so I don't want to say it's going really well, but I think it's going really well in that they're really engaged. So we have a group chat, and they'll share, like if someone came up with a new recipe, or if somebody just found a new food that they liked, or even workout ideas. So it's been really helpful. So then, as one thing does often lead to another, my daughter was coming home from school, and I was like, I bet you Lindsay would want to do this with you guys. And when I told Lindsay, she was like, yeah, and I think my friends would want to do it too. I was like, okay, well, why don't we have 2 groups? Because one of the things I've noticed personally is if a group gets too big, if a text group gets too big, or even a Facebook group gets too big, people shrink. They don't want to engage as much. So sometimes smaller is better. Some people just don't like engaging in group conversations, group text messages, group whatever, but they're still in it and they're still part of it. They want to be a part of it, and that's fine. That's great. So we have 2 separate text groups, and the older girls, I actually named them. They are called Summer Strong Society. Oh, it's actually called the Summer Strong Society Challenge. And they each followed Allison's model of coming up with 4 goals. And we are going to track those goals for 6 weeks. The goals were totally up to them. Now, they did have her goals as a model, and her goals involved her sleeping schedule, her workout schedule, her nutrition schedule. So there was a little bit of a model, but people went off, people created goals that were meaningful to them. And it was interesting with this demographic. And as a parent of this demographic, it was especially interesting to me. One of the things that all of the girls mentioned was that they wanted to be better about not eating out so much. I say this to my husband all the time with eating out. I'm like, it's just so, first of all, it's so expensive. And second of all, you get really low quality food. Usually when you eat out, not always. I mean, there's always good options, but so a lot of them said only eat out once a week, trying to work on spending less money. It's hard to eat healthy, and it's bad for your wallet to eat out a lot. So I love that they had that as a goal. A lot of them had a step goal, which I think is really great. They're probably working in offices or having jobs that are more sedentary, so they need to be more intentional with their steps. But I wanted to use the step goal And actually that's my goal this month. And that's another whole story, but I wanted to use the step goal because I was really glad that I had, as the girls were sharing their goals, I was really glad that I had made a goal for myself in May to do 10,000 steps a day, which you would think with my job and my classes and just moving around, that would not be a problem. Well, it is a huge problem. I do not get 10,000 steps just in my daily life. I need to go for a very intentional walk. I don't know if you guys have seen my dog. I walk my dog once, sometimes twice a day. Either my husband walks him in the morning or I do. And he doesn't walk very far. And dog walking, when your dog is smelling and going to the bathroom, that just you don't get a lot of steps. So forget that. Even though I go on a walk or two a day, it's not really a walk or two a day. So I realized that in order to get to that 10,000, I needed to take an intentional walk every single day. At first I thought I could do it with shopping. I'm like, I'll go to Costco, I'll go to Target. And I thought I could get to it, but no, that's just 1,000 or whatever, but it adds up. But I do have to go for an intentional walk. And some days it's been kind of problematic because I've had 4 classes and I don't want to go for a walk. I don't but I've done it and I've done it anyway. So why I'm telling you all this is that I should have changed that goal to a total for the week. And it's funny because I usually tell my people to do this, meaning on a day where I had a lot of activity that wasn't walking, I could not have to hit 10,000. And then maybe on a Sunday or a day where I don't have a class or I'm not active, I go for a longer walk. That would make more sense. But I'm kind of into it now. I just halfway through the month and I'm pretty much nailing it. One day my watch said something or my ring said something different than my phone. So I gave myself the benefit of the doubt. But otherwise I'm pretty much nailing it. But it's been a challenge and it's actually been annoying. I've had to go out at night, 8:30 at night, and I looked at my phone and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm at 8,000. So I had to go walk around the neighborhood, which is fun in a way. I love that challenge. But at the same time, is that really a productive use of my time? Last night, actually, I do yin yoga on Wednesday night after class. And I just said, I'll walk. And I set up my stuff for yoga. And I went and walked until I got to my steps and missed about 25 minutes of yoga. So I need yoga more than I need walking probably. So that's another example of how it wasn't great. But I was really glad I did it because when I got home, there was a storm. It was raining. So I was like, oh my gosh, good thing I got those steps in. If you guys have any tips for how to get more steps, I was asking Meg. I don't do a lot of step challenges. I never really used to pay attention to my steps. But now that I am, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really don't get a lot of steps. Okay. So going back to using the girls as an example, saying the cumulative, so let's just take that particular example. And I think it's interesting because there's just several different ways that they could do that goal and the steps goal per se. And all of them did it a little bit different, which I liked too. And maybe they'll learn from it. Maybe they'll be like, I wish I did. So a couple of the girls said, I want to walk 10,000 steps on the weekdays. But then another girl said, I want to walk 10,000 steps at least 5 days. So she's giving herself a little bit of wiggle room, right? So weekdays, if you miss Thursday, you didn't do it. That goal is a no. You didn't check the box for that goal. But the one that said 5 days, if you miss Thursday, you could make up for it on Saturday or Sunday. So that's just an example of setting goals. And to be totally honest, when the girls were first sharing them, I felt like I was being a negative Nelly. I was like, well, you might, because a lot of them said they didn't want to eat out during the week. And I said, do you want to say, I don't want to eat out during the week unless it's a special occasion? Because I know I've had that goal before. I didn't ever want to have any alcohol during the week. I had a strict rule, no alcohol during the week. And then I kind of loosened it, unless it's a special occasion. If I'm celebrating my friend's birthday and everyone's going out to dinner and I want to have a glass of wine, I can. I might not, but I can if I want to. So that's another thing to think about. And the other piece of it is how they wanted to be held accountable. So I think that, as we talked about earlier, is probably the most important piece of any kind of challenge that you do is like, how are you going to measure it? What's the structure? And what we came up with, because simple is always better. That's one thing I have learned. Like when my trainers and I get together, coaches, and we're doing a program, we're doing anything, and take whatever you want to do and then take 5 steps away from it, because simple is always better. And remember what I said in the beginning, finishing is what matters. Finishing doing what you said you're going to do, getting to the end, finishing. That's what matters. So let's pick something that we have to push ourselves. It shouldn't be so easy that we just do it anyway. That's not even a goal, but that you have to push yourself, but that you're going to finish, because finishing feels so good. It feels so good to finish something. It just is such a notch in your belt. And then you could do something else, but it should end. So that's another thing that I want to say about challenges. I love challenge the 21 day. I thought that was a great length of time. I kind of wanted it to keep going, but I always say leave wanting more. That's a great challenge. If you leave wanting a little bit more, 4 weeks is a great challenge. 1 month. We are doing 6 weeks for this particular challenge. And I think the reason why I chose that was because I think that was when Allison was moving and I wanted her to have something to focus on up until then. And then when she moves on to her next city, she'll be able to continue to do the things that she's doing. It's not like it will end, but it just has like a natural end date. So how we're going to track the challenge, and this is another thing about this particular challenge. If you're listening to this as somebody that administers challenges or does this type of work, people would like to know the expectations. I'll say that for sure. They don't want to be like, well, what do you think you should do? But in some situations, especially this, where it's a demographic that I don't work with as regularly, I asked them, how do you want to rate this? Do you want to say yes or no? Or do you want there to be a tier? Like 0 is you would get 0 points. So we'll go back to the step challenge because that's an easy one. Okay. So if your goal was to walk 10,000 steps a day and you missed twice, you'd get a 0. But if you only missed once, you'd get a 1. And if you did it 100% of the time, you would get a 2. So 2 would be your highest score. 1 would be like whatever the question is, you messed up once, basically. You messed up once. And then 0 would be you messed up more than once. So it's the basic. It's really, really simple. And they'll get a Google form. I did end up putting all of so when you create a Google form, everyone isn't going to have their own Google form because I want to track it. I'm going to have my friend Kristen actually help me with this. Something I need to learn how to do. I need to use my ChatGPT skills to learn how to use formulas and forms, which I know is not that hard, but I've been really spoiled by my friend Kristen who's done it for me, and she's so smart, and it just makes me excited when I get to see it. So the data will track itself. So every week I'll be able to say, Shayna got 5 points, Katie got 6 points, whatever it is. So that is a huge thing for challenges. You can't just say, we have a challenge, go. You need constant feedback. People need to say like, oh, I did really bad this week. I need to do better next week. Or, oh my gosh, I got a really good score this week. I want to get that again next week. Whatever it is, you need to keep them engaged with feedback. So feedback, like this is how we're doing. So the weekly report is going to be really good once they get it. I'm only going to give them a day or 2 to get their information in. I'm not going to say like, oh, that's part of the challenge. You get a 0. I think all these girls are overachievers. They're not going to get 0s, but that's part of it too. The challenge is to get your data entered. Yes, we'll ding each other and we'll probably have to ask a couple times, but the idea is that they're accountable to fill out the form. The form will literally take less than a minute. That is important. If anything you have to do, if it takes more than a minute, you're going to put it off. But if it's something that you can truly do in a minute, then it's something you'll get done. So that is another thing that I've learned over time, that less. Don't ask people to do, if they want to write, if they want to leave a comment, great, but make it so they can check that box in a minute. And So then at the end, because we do have two groups doing it, the groups are different sizes. One group has 10, actually it might have 11 now, and the other group has 7. We'll make it a fun competition. So each week I'll probably tell the younger girls that are doing it, the college age girls, hey, the other group, I think I named them. Well, the college age groups is actually called, it's an acronym, but they're called the finishers, because that's what I said. I said, girls, we just need to finish this. If we finish this, we'll be awesome. So just don't go astray. And that's an expectation. And people like expectations. I just need you to fill out this form every week. I just need you to finish this. I've invested my time in creating this challenge and in helping you with your goals. And in return, I want you to finish this. I love these girls, like my daughters. So I'm happy to do it, but I do need to set an expectation. And I have learned that. That's another thing that I've learned as a trainer and a coach and someone who loves the space of helping people with their goals is I will get really mad. And I mean really mad if I invest my time in people and they just diss me or they stop responding. And I get that life happens, but at least give me the decency of a text. Hey, Kelly, I'm so sorry. I'm just, things are crazy right now. I fell off the wagon. Thank you so much for doing this. I hope you'll think about me for your next challenge. Good. I will. Otherwise I wouldn't have, because if you leave me high and dry, unless it's some extenuating circumstance, I'm not gonna think about you for my next challenge. Okay. So that's just the first thing that I wanted to talk about is the strongest goals are not just specific or measurable. They're meaningful. They have to matter enough that you believe that they will move the needle in your life, but they also need some wiggle room. Accountability and community, because real life is unpredictable and people need support. Support is everything. And the other cool thing about this is if one girl helps another girl, then that's going to make them feel good. There's lots of synergistic feel good opportunities in this. And also, like if their goal is less sweet treats and everyone's getting a sweet treat and they already had their 3 sweet treats for the week, they can kind of commiserate with their friend and be like, oh, we don't get to get a sweet treat. So I love the goals that the girls came up with. I thought they were really smart. And I also appreciated that they were honest about things like what time they wanted to wake up and things that like as college girls that are home for the summer that might have a different schedule. You could judge like, oh God, they need to wake up by 10. Well, that's a great goal. If you don't usually wake up by 10, then that's a great goal. I love that goal. I really do. So proud of them for doing it. Again, I'm putting this out here as an extra layer of accountability. I'm going to tell them that I talked about their challenge on the podcast and they can listen to it if they want. And that's an extra layer of accountability. The next thing that I want to talk about with you guys, and this is kind of things that have been happening this week. And one is I had a member kind of quit on me before she started. And I learned from this. So I just want to share what I feel like I learned. We had a one-on-one assessment and there were some concerns about starting. There was definitely some history of the past of things that weren't successful and trepidation of wanting to start but not knowing and, some other real issues. I always say like, just show up, right? If you show up, we can help you. Just get here. Just get your body either virtual, if you're doing virtual, or into the studio. I don't need you to be 100% that day. I don't even need you to be good that day. I just need you here. That's our first step for helping someone. But she was really honest. And she's like, she sent me a message and she's like, I just can't get myself to show up. I just can't go. And she's like, I'm signing up for classes and then I'm canceling or I'm not going. And that's so real. I guess why I want to share this. It's so real. And a lot of times people, this is why I really want to give her a shout out. I'm not going to say her name, but I want to give her a shout out because a lot of times people won't share that because they're embarrassed and they'll just ghost, what I call ghost, just not write back, not show up, cancel, and just be done. But she said that to me, and I just having a really good day, and I looked around on my phone, and she's like, how do I cancel? She'd already joined. How do I cancel? And I was like, I never, ever want people to think that I'm making it hard for them to cancel because I want to keep their membership. Of course, I want to keep their membership because I hate when people cancel and it makes me sad. And sometimes I wonder if we failed them. And usually I'd say 99% of the time, it's not the case of us failing them. It's just them having a hard time making the commitment that they want to make. And that was the case with this. So I gave her an opportunity. I said, listen, you have till, even if you cancel, your membership's still good till the 21st. Why don't we just give ourselves a little bit more time? And then I stopped myself, because one of the things that I'm working on is letting other people decide what they think they should do. So once I gave her that information and I just said, okay, what do you want to do? What do you think we should do, make as a plan? And her suggestion was she was going to try again. And she came last night. She came again after that. Or she scheduled. She has her next plan for her next class. It's actually tonight. I was confused by that. But me knowing last night while she was in class that how hard it was for her to get there was very helpful as a coach, as a trainer. It's very, very helpful. Like, of course, I'm still going to coach her and, tell her what I think she can be doing better, but also just knowing in the back of my mind how hard it was for her to get there gave me a deeper level of understanding. And I'm putting this information out to you guys because maybe it's for you. That's not the gym. Maybe it's another aspect of your life that you're struggling with. Maybe it's something that is personal or you're worrying about somebody else, but putting it out there is it's really, really helpful. And I'm going to segue to something else that I wanted to talk about today. And that is having people in your life that you can just talk to, like go for a walk, talking in the car, whatever it is. I know that women tend to be better at this than men. I know that some people don't like to talk on the phone at all. I love talking on the phone. I used to talk to both of my parents quite regularly, and I miss that very much. I still talk to my stepmom, which is great. And my sister, sometimes I can catch her on the car ride, or I love talking on the phone. I know some people don't, but I do love talking on the phone. And what this conversation, so we just went for a walk. It was actually Meg. So those of you that listen to this podcast may or may not know, but Meg said goodbye to her beautiful, amazing, strong, incredible mother this month. Or I guess it was last month. No, this month. And anyone who has lost a parent knows how incredibly hard that is. And it was hard to be her friend during this time because it literally, like, when your friend is hurting like that and what they're feeling and how hard that is, it was just hard. It was hard. And I missed talking to her, and I didn't want to tell her like all my stupid stuff that I usually tell her because nothing matters, right? Her, what's going on with her is so significant. And I know people will say like, oh no, I like to hear about, no, not during that time. So we got to go for a walk and just catch up on how she's doing, and just some other stuff. And even though like I've been kind of struggling with a few things, and even though I didn't even talk about those things because I wanted to get the chance to talk to her, I felt better after. It's just like talking, like just having the opportunity to talk to somebody, real life, no filter. This is what's happening. This is how I'm feeling. Being able to help her maybe made me feel better. So I just wanted to put that into your ear today and say that don't hold things in. There's someone in your life that cares about you. There's someone that needs you to talk to them. They need you. You telling them what you're struggling with will help somebody else. It happens every time. It happens every time. So if there's something that you're struggling with and you reach out to somebody and have the opportunity to have the conversation, hopefully it will help you, but know that it will also help that person. And when that person is struggling, they're going to feel more comfortable reaching out to you and saying, can we talk? I'm struggling with something. So I don't know how to categorize this one, guys, but all I'm really trying to say is find someone to talk to if you feel isolated, and just say things out loud. And if you listen to my podcast and you need someone to talk to, I will talk to you. I will listen. I take great pride in people. A lot of people come to me that I don't maybe know on such a personal level, but they do share very personal things with me because of what I do and because I'm a coach and because I'm vulnerable and they see me being vulnerable and they're willing to be vulnerable to me. And I like that. You'll never, ever hear me complain that, hey, so-and-so came to talk to me about this. I will always welcome them with open arms. And I take a lot of pride in that. I feel really proud when someone trusts me with something that they're struggling with. And obviously I don't have the answers necessarily, usually, but I can listen and I can give them from some perspective. So that is something that we can all do to help each other. So the last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is something that's up and coming, something I'm really excited about. And it's in the works. Hopefully by the time you hear this, it might be more dialed in, but it's something I want you to get excited about. I want you to get excited about this summer, something that we're doing. Summer's like coming. It's going to be, we count our summer, not like the June, although it's kind of the same, but we count it when the kids get out because we have a lot of school teachers, parents. So summer's starting for college kids now, maybe, but we count it when the county schools get out, or the private schools or high schools, whatever you want to call it. So what we're doing this summer is summer camp, and summer camp is going to look it's going to have several different options. And some of them are going to be complimentary to our members because we just want to offer them more. And they're just going to be kind of like accountability programs. But some are going to be opportunities to expand, which I think we're all looking for right now. I think we are all looking for opportunities to learn and grow and be enriched and be a part of something and connect with other people that are also maybe interested in this thing. And they will have a cost to them. It will be very affordable. Everything that we do is very affordable. I want you, if you have the space for it, to sign up for a camp, whether it be one of the free ones, whether it be a virtual one, whether it be an app camp. Jess actually has something in the works where she wants to do something for parents, Jess and her daughter, Allie, where they want to do something to help families be more accountable to being active in the summer, which I just think is brilliant. Gretchen has this whole chakra program that she has kind of been talking about for years, that she's like, I'd love to offer this as a camp and teach people and have a theme every week. And I just think that sounds amazing. And guys, that's one that can be done totally virtual too. And then Lori has, her wheels are spinning on an adventure camp. She loves to be outside. She's super active and she wants to help other people do the same this summer. So that will be another one that's got an accountability piece to it and some structure. But I wanted to go ahead and share that so you have something to be excited about this summer. And also, if you're like, oh man, Kelly, I would love, maybe you have a skill set that you'd love to teach this community. And we could work that into one of our camps. Actually, we have a couple of things brewing like that we're planning on doing. So be excited about the camps. Reach out to someone if you need to talk, and set goals that you know that you will feel really good about when you finish. And the minute you say that goal out loud, you own it. It's yours. Do not take your voice. Do not take, just because you just said it to yourself, do not take that lightly. If you're going to say it out loud and you say you want to be accountable to something, then it's going to feel really good to finish. Thank you guys so much for listening today. I appreciate all of the feedback that you give me on this podcast. And I really appreciate you spending your precious time listening. And I hope that you got something valuable out of it. I know every episode is a little bit different, but I'm convinced that there's something for everyone. And if you found that this was valuable for someone that you know and care about, please share it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.